Hey y'all, in this video, I'm going to share 3 reasons why you should stop self-funding your nonprofit. Let's get into it. Hey y'all, this is Tiffany with Boss in the Budget. I help new and small nonprofits get up and running, and I share information on nonprofit startup and fundraising. So if you need help with that, make sure you subscribe to my channel. So I'm going to share 3 important reasons why you should not be self-funding your nonprofit. And for some of y'all watching are like, look, Tiffany, I'm not trying to self-fund my nonprofit. It's just what it is. So I like to be real with you guys who watch my channel. And I'm first going to say, I completely understand that when you're starting out, you have to. Like when you're starting out and it's your idea and it's your baby, most of you are putting all of your own money into it. And a lot of you don't have support to do that. So I'm just want to be clear, like I'm not saying that that's a bad thing or that's a problem, but I'm going to share some information about why you need to move on from that, why your nonprofit needs to evolve, and then hopefully some tips to help you get past that, right? So I did do a video before on how to stop paying for your nonprofit out of your own pocket. So I'm linking that above and in the description box if you need to watch that video for help as well. So make sure you watch all of this video because I'm sharing all 3 tips and I'm sprinkling in helpful pointers throughout the tips. So make sure you keep watching till the end. The first reason why you should not be self-funding your nonprofit or you should stop is because if you are a community organization, you're a community-based nonprofit, you're more than likely doing direct services. You're not raising money just to give away. You're raising money in the hopes of using it to do programming, right? Or help somebody in your community. So in most circumstances, you are a public charity. You want to be designated as a public charity. That still means you're a 501c3 organization, but you have to understand that even under the 501c3 designation, there are private foundations and public charities. So as a public charity, you are basically agreeing when you apply for your status for the IRS that you're not getting your income from 1 or 2 sources. You're getting your income from a variety of sources and you're getting it from multiple people, multiple places. So you're not just relying on 1 or 2 people to do that, right? So as a public charity, that's what you're telling the IRS you're going to do. If you only have 1 or 2 people providing the majority of your income, which is what a lot of people do if they're self-funding, then you technically can be designated as a private foundation once you start filling in your 990 information and the IRS starts checking for that. So this may sound a little complicated, but I'm trying to keep it as simple as possible. To be a public charity, you need to have money from multiple sources, not just your own pocket. Now, the reality is if you're super small, you don't necessarily have to report all of your income sources if you're not bringing in a lot of money. But still, you don't ever want to get into practice as a nonprofit, if you're designated as a public charity, to only be getting money from yourself because you're operating like a private foundation when you do that. And it's really important that you understand the difference between the two. Now, if what I'm saying right now sounds like a foreign language, make sure you check out this video I'm linking above. So I did a previous video sharing some definitions and terms you absolutely need to know if you're starting a nonprofit. You have to know what you're getting yourself into and what the IRS expects of you when you apply for 501c3 status. So I'm going to try to keep this as simple as possible, but the IRS looks back over a 5-year period and they look at where you get your money from. And there's a certain formula that has to be used if you designate yourself as a public charity. And if based on that formula, you don't have enough people giving a variety of money, so you don't have a variety of income services based on that formula, you risk losing your public charity status. And this may happen if you get like a substantial grant. This isn't just from individuals. This means you may get a grant from an organization and they provide the majority of the income that you're making as a nonprofit. That puts you at risk as well. There are some things you may do to get around that, but you got to be aware of this issue. It's called tipping. So below I'm putting some information about tipping so you understand what it is. And also just want to signal that I talked about tipping in depth in my nonprofit startup masterclass because it's something you need to know when you're getting started. So if you want to check that out and just need tips for starting your nonprofit in terms of the paperwork and making sure everything is aligned with the IRS, you should definitely check out that startup masterclass. Why does tipping matter when it comes to self-funding? Because if you are the only person, or if it's you and someone else providing all of the money for your nonprofit, it can still put you at risk. Now, again, there are all kind of caveats around this, and an accountant can give you much more detailed information. And if you're super small, it may not matter, but no matter what it is, no matter how big you are, how small you are, you still need to get out of the practice of paying for everything out of your own pocket. The number 2 reason you should stop self-funding is because you want to get in the practice of fundraising so that you can build your opportunities and build your network. The way fundraising is supposed to be done, it is a way for you to build deeper relationships with people who are aligned with your mission, whether it's individuals, whether it's grant funders, businesses, whoever would be interested in funding and supporting your mission. So the practice of raising money requires you to be visible. It requires you to get out there to meet people. It requires you to understand what other people are doing, for you to understand how best to partner with them, how best to align with them. And you naturally doing that, creating space for meeting people, creating opportunities to do activities or do events with people, or figure out how you guys can work together. The practice of doing that creates so many opportunities for your nonprofit. What I've noticed is with certain nonprofit founders, you get stuck in a bubble, right? You're afraid, first of all, you're afraid to talk about your nonprofit, probably because you're super new, you don't feel super organized, so you don't tell a lot of people about what you do. Or you are an introvert, or you don't want to tell people your master plan. So in your head, you're like, I don't need to tell a lot of people about what I got going on. I just need them to give me the money, and then I'll just go from there. But you don't ever want to have that approach, because the more visible you are, the more people see what you're doing and get behind the vision, the more opportunities and money will come. So the second reason I just want to lift up that you don't want to self-fund is because you want to get into the practice of getting your name out there, talking about your mission, and finding people who want the same things as you for your nonprofit. If you keep approaching your nonprofit like, I'm just going to pay for everything, then you may be less likely to want to partner with people. You may be less likely to want to put yourself out there. And that's the exact opposite of what you want. So my advice to you is always think of opportunities where you can meet someone or deepen a connection with someone. And a connection may be with the place where you work, or people where you have social ties, or you're in a club or association together, or people who are also working alongside you with your mission, who may be able to complement some of the work that you do. There are so many potential ways you can partner with people who would also care about the work that you're doing. But if you're so timid or you're so resistant to putting yourself out there and talking about your work and talking about the impact that your organization can make, or talking about the need that exists in your community and why people need support and people need these services, if you're resistant to that, then you're less likely to get support. So my best advice to you is just get out there. Even if it's scary, put yourself out there, talk about the work you're doing. Now, if you need help to figure out how to talk about the work, because when you're fundraising, it's more than just, hey, I need support, give me money to do what I'm trying to do for my organization. That's not how you want to put yourself out there. You actually want to be strategic about how you talk about your mission, how you talk about your need and the people or the things that you're serving. So if you need some advice for how to do that, I do have a fundraising bundle, and it includes 2 masterclasses. The first one is a fundraising masterclass to give you all the tools you need to set up for fundraising and to learn how you can fundraise and all the different options available to you. And the second part of that bundle is the visibility masterclass, where I talk about, like, this is what you need to harp on as a nonprofit. These are all the things, all the issues you need to lift up to get people to pay attention to you. These are the different ways and the different methods you can use to get people to pay attention to you. And when you follow those strategies, that's how connections are made. So I really do encourage you to check out that fundraising bundle. I'm linking it below in the description box. And the final reason why you should stop self-funding is because it's not your responsibility as a founder to financially support your organization. It should not be all on your shoulders. I believe very strongly about this because too many times I talk to nonprofit founders and they're frustrated and they're burnt out because they feel like they have to do it all themselves. Now, sometimes some of y'all be a little bit controlling, and I get it because I can too. You don't want anybody else to do the work because you don't believe they can do it as good as you, but you just got to remember that it's not all of your responsibility. This is different than when you're starting a small business and you're like a for-profit. This is different. A nonprofit is a public organization that doesn't have one owner, right? So the people who are responsible for the nonprofit are the board of directors. They help set the vision and the direction for the nonprofit. And as board members, they're all equally responsible. I'm gonna say that one more time. They're all equally responsible for making sure the nonprofit has the financial resources it needs to run. They're all equally responsible for the financial health of the organization. So if you have a board member who is on your board, committed to launching your organization, but is refusing to participate by donating their dollars, especially if they have it. It's different if the people don't have it, but they're making opportunities for you to get money in other ways. I'm talking about for the people who have it, even if it's $20 a month, even if it's $50 a month. But if you have a board member who's willing and okay with just sitting by and not giving up of their financial resources to support the nonprofit, but they're okay watching everybody else do it, that's a red flag. Just letting you know right now. And it's a red flag not because the person is terrible. It's a red flag because that person does not understand their role. They don't understand their position. As a board member, you are responsible for the financial health of the nonprofit, and you're responsible to participate in fundraising. And part of that means you have to share your wealth as well. You have to share your resources if you are a board member. I know some of y'all writing this down like, I need to forward this to my board members. That's something that you have to understand from the very beginning, and you have to make clear to your board members. Now, there's controversy around, should we be requiring board members to pay just to serve on a board? They're there as a volunteer. Why are we now asking them to pay? This is my opinion, okay? And take it or leave it. But this is my opinion. If you are a startup nonprofit, you have to understand you are a startup. So the people who've decided to come together and launch this organization, they got to put their money where their mouth is. So it's more than just giving my opinion about something. If I really want the organization to succeed, I'm going to put my money behind it as well, because why should we just allow the founder to pay for everything? That's very unfair, because the founder doesn't have unilateral decision making. That founder can't just decide to do one thing on their own. That's against the rules. So if that person as a founder can't unilaterally make a decision, then they shouldn't have to be unilaterally paying everything for the nonprofit. So everyone should be responsible. And as a startup, you should be giving your money, because the money is not going to come from anywhere else. You're starting from ground zero. The people who are starting with you have to be committed, and they have to be committed financially. It's just what it is. And if they don't want to do that, then it's not the right season for them to serve, right? Maybe they need to serve later if they don't want to put the money in. But if they're that stingy, they don't want to support, then maybe they can be an advisory role or do something else or participate in another way. Now, I just want to be clear. I'm not saying be money hungry and make sure everyone gives $5,000 a year. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that when people give of their financial resources, it raises the stakes. It makes a statement. It says that they're committed to this with their time, their energy, and their money. That makes a difference when people put their money behind something, and you need that kind of commitment when you're starting new. Okay, y'all, I'm off my soapbox, but I hope this information was helpful. The bottom line is you shouldn't be self-funding your nonprofit. In the beginning, that's just how it is. Sometimes you need to just pay out of your own pockets to pay the fees for your state and for the IRS. I get it. But pretty soon after, you need to figure out what your plan is for raising money to cover the cost to launch your organization. So that's why I mentioned my fundraising bundle, because in that fundraising masterclass, I talk about the key steps you should be taking to help you get to a point where you can start asking for money. So again, check out that fundraising bundle below. If you need more help from me with your nonprofit, make sure you visit me at www.bossonabudget.com, and I will see you in the next video.